Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. In this video I wanted to discuss everything we know so far about the dynamic strategic campaign in Steel Division 2. Please remember that everything you are about to see is work in progress and therefore subject to change. In order to get the big picture, today I'm going to be going through development diaries 1, 4, 6, 7 and 11, so let's get into it. In the first development blog, we were introduced to the new single player. It's been stated that you will be in charge of dozens of battalions on maps up to 150 kilometers wide. Sounds very exciting, but how does it all play out? First, let us look at Eugen's goals with this single player. In Steel Division Normandy 44, I think some people were put off by the linear nature of the campaign and lack of replayability. Looks like that's not the case anymore though, with one of their main goals being to make it highly replayable. This should be helped by the scale, which is set to be much greater than the previous game. They also intend to make the campaigns longer as well, so it's likely that the player will be much more invested this time around. Eugen is also focusing on reinforcing historical accuracy and giving context to the battles you'll be playing. The new campaign puts you in charge of what battles take place and which you want to play out on the battlefield itself. Don't think the battle is important? Just auto-resolve it. Finally, Eugen wants to put the strategic and tactical decisions in the hands of the players in a very big way. They've removed the restrictive cells featured in Airland Battle and Red Dragon and will instead have a map that you can move freely on. This influences the dynamic part that will create many different scenarios every time you play. There will of course be incentives and objectives, but each decision will have a number of variables. How this works is as follows. You will view a strategic map from a general's perspective, given information on the battalions at your disposal all the way down to the minor detail of each individual unit. These battalions will be represented by models on the map. Each battalion will have a number of action points which will allow it to move, attack, entrench, etc. The campaign will use a turn-based system with each turn being half a day. Every 2 turns, action points will recharge if the supply line is intact, which is another thing you'll have to keep in mind. Battles are played in real time, so think something very much like Total War. Movement of battalions will be based on their type, as well as the terrain used, with things like forests and swamps slowing movement, whilst roads will remain the best option. Attacking an enemy battalion is interesting. Based on the movement of remaining nearby battalions, up to 6 battalions can fight, with the phase system accommodating how far from the battle they are and representing that during the tactical battle. The game mode and map will be dependent on the current situation and location. The example given is launching an assault on a defended position near a wooded area will result in a breakthrough mode on a forest map. There will be 3 game modes in total and 25 maps on release. Time to get into more detail now as we move on to development diary number 4. We have mentions of ad hoc Kampfgruppen, behind enemy lines partisan troops, and air assets such as reconnaissance planes to get you excited. And then it follows up with more on what to expect from each battalion. You can only control on a battalion level, but there is a lot of detail to pay attention to, such as which companies, tanks, and equipment are assigned to it. This information will help you put the right battalion in the right place at the right time. Eugen intends to be as authentic as possible, with the battalions using realistic numbers based on historical documentation. This means some will be under strength, and some will have use of captured or lend-lease units, for example. The player will not be able to edit the battalions available, due to them being historically accurate, but will potentially be able to influence which reinforcements come as the campaign continues. The battle order viewer is mentioned next, which is the main tool you will be using to distinguish your units from an army level all the way down to a company level. In the development blog, they continue to emphasize the historical accuracy and how they decided to represent the difference in German and Soviet battalions in a clear manner. Check out the 4th development blog if you would like more detail on that. We are interested in the gameplay though. and the fourth blog gives us some insight into how battalions are represented. They will have 4 types of company: assault, which includes infantry and close combat; armour, which is tanks and anti-tank; and then support, which is indirect fire units like artillery. Finally, each battalion will have 1 HQ company, which provides leaders, supply and recon. I believe there will be a maximum of 7 companies in each battalion. Battalions will have their overall combat power in each role represented by a numerical value calculated by the price of each company. There will also be HQ battalions. Using these battalions in an engagement will allow you to bring 2 more additional battalions into battle, representing the HQ's ability to exercise command. For each battle, you can use 6 battalions in total. With that all in mind, let's move on to development blog number 6. This one focuses on action points and how they are used for movement. Each battalion will come with a set number of action points. Most will have 4. Each turn replenishes half the action points, so in most cases 2. Recon battalions will replenish 4 each turn to reflect their intended role as fast movers and scouts. When issuing a move command, the game will automatically calculate the distance your unit can travel and show you how many action points it would cost. There will be a dotted brown line which shows the maximum movement range of the battalion. Movement range is affected by types of terrain, as mentioned previously. Default movement should use up to 3 action points, since the 4th point will be used to exert a zone of control. Enemy battalions cannot move through this without a fight, and would otherwise have to try and find a way around. If your battalion has no action points, however, the zone of control, represented by a white line, turns grey, which means an enemy battalion can push back yours without doing battle. They can still choose to fight if you've left yourself in a precarious position, so be careful. There can still be reason to use all your action points though, such as catching up to the front line, repositioning, or even cutting off your enemy in an encirclement. The encirclement works because you cut off their supply line, meaning the battalions trapped will no longer replenish action points. Finally, in this development block, we are introduced to area denial, which is an action your battalions can do, covering an area with artillery or planes through which a moving enemy battalion will lose action points. You can also bombard an enemy unit directly, reducing their action points entirely. Development block number 7 focuses on how action points are used for combat, and how combat is represented on the strategic map. If you want to attack an enemy battalion, you will require at least 3 action points, as 1 is required for each phase. Battalions arriving in B, for example, will only need 2 action points remaining, but the initial attacking battalion will always require 3. Now to attack, you simply select the unit you want to attack with your battalion of choice selected, and an option will appear to do battle. You will be shown which nearby battalions can support the attack and choose which you wish to do so. They will arrive in the battle in phase A, B or C based on the distance and terrain they would theoretically have to travel. There is more detail in the battle planner, shown after you select a battle. In the battle planner, you arrange your battle groups, 1, 2 and 3. Battle groups have space for 2 battalions. You need at least 1 phase A battalion in battle group 1 in order to initiate battle, and by default can only bring 1 other battalion. In order to unlock battle groups 2 and 3, you require HQ battalions to be in range, as mentioned before. Based on how close HQ battalions are, will determine which phase their subordinate battalions will arrive in. HQ battalions also unlock the use of airplanes in tactical battles, and can arrive themselves, represented as commander units. The game mode of the battle is chosen as follows. Closer combat is caused by an attack between 2 battalions that didn't move in the previous turn. Conquest is caused by attacking an opposing battalion which did move last turn, and Breakthrough is caused by attacking a battalion which is fortified. Let's move on now to the final development blog I would like to cover today, number 11. This one covers auto-resolve and other statistics in more detail. The auto-resolve in Steel Division 2 is set to be a step above anything we've seen so far from Mugen. It allows you to get involved on multiple levels, from watching the AI control your units in the tactical battle to making high-level strategic decisions. From the strategic perspective, combat power plays a large part. Those are the three coloured parameters we talked about earlier: assault, armour and support. Relative power between yours and the enemy's battalions is important. The higher the better, but in order to be the most effective, these need to be balanced, which can be done by using a mix of battalions that provide such an outcome. On a tactical level, you can choose which units you want the AI to control, if any, while you watch a battle. The example they give is leaving yourself with command of only the air assets, whilst the AI takes care of the rest. Auto-resolving on the campaign map will also be engaging though, because if you choose to, you can influence the battle phase by phase by controlling which companies engage and when. With the help of recon actions, you can reveal enemy forces in more detail to help influence your decisions. When an engagement is complete, you will get a statistics screen, which will show you everything you'll need in order to analyse what happened in the battle and, of course, the outcome. On a side note, if you win before Phase C, the opposing battalion will retreat. Anyway, that's about it. Loads of information to take in, but I hope this gives you a good idea of what to expect from the Steel Division 2 Dynamic Strategic Campaign. Make sure to check out the development blogs linked below for yourselves, and remember that all we have seen is work in progress and may be subject to change. For now though, make sure to subscribe for more Steel Division 2 content in the future. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.